Everybody, welcome to the webinar. Omar Zenhom here. Great to have everybody here on the webinar. I want to give a special shout out to Debbie from Israel, first person in the chat. Welcome, Debbie. Great to have you here. Welcome. Today's webinar is all about how to create a high converting paid webinar. So if you're looking to sell your content with a paid webinar, I'm going to show you your A to Z system that you need to build to ensure that you have the right people on the webinar so you can sell them and make sure that you get paid for your services. I love that everybody's coming in and chatting and greeting. If you are joining us on the webinar, please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'd love to learn a little bit more about you. Also, under the video, you will see a poll. Please go ahead and answer that poll. It gives me a pulse on the crowd. There's a couple of polls, actually. But I'd love to know, are you currently running any paid webinars? That would give me a good understanding of where everybody's at. Hey, Orly, great to have you here from the support team. We've got Barry from California. Whereabouts in California, Barry? I spent a good number of years in San Diego, Pacific Beach, beautiful spot. Drew, how you doing from Canada? From the capital of Canada, which is, I know it because I went to it. Nicole, where did we go when we went to Canada a few years ago? It was, don't tell me. It's on the East Coast. I'm just drawing a blank. Coffee hasn't kicked in yet, Drew. Jeff from Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm going to get it, though. And we got Don from Minneapolis. Great to have you here. Hey, Nicole, great to have you in the chat as well, helping out. Wonderful. Awesome. So guys, I see people answering the polls. Great. Also under the video, you'll see there's a questions area. If you have questions along the way as we go through today's workshop, make sure you go ahead and answer the questions right below the video. I'd love to hear any questions you have that pop in your head during the workshop about webinars, whether it's paid webinars or free webinars, marketing your webinars, anything of the sort. I'd love to answer your questions. So let's jump right in. I want to start with a question to you. Let me know in the chat the answer to this question, okay? I want to know what would be a win for you today. What is something that, if there's one thing you would like to go away with from this webinar, what would be that one thing? If you had that one piece of knowledge, that skill, what would it be? And it would be worth your time. Let me know what that wouldn't be. What would be a win for you today? Let me know in the chat right now. Ottawa, Drew, you're right. We went to Ottawa. Actually, it was like minus 40 or something like that. It was freezing. Come on, Drew's like, I know, sorry. Nicole remembered. I don't know why I wanted to say something else, but no, it wasn't Toronto. We went to both Ottawa and Toronto, actually. Oh, shoot, yes. Not Toronto. Sorry, Drew. It's the top of the morning here in Sydney, and we're and my cylinders are starting to fire now. I promise I'll be better. Give me some more Canada trivia. See if I can get you. Ed says consistent revenue from presentations. That's his win. What else, guys? Let me know what would be a win for you today. What would you like to get out of today's webinar? Drew says framework for paid webinar. And best practices from all your webinar ninjas. I love that. Great. This is good because I'm going to be able to provide that for you, Drew. Debbie says, a win, how to set up the tech side of paid webinars requiring payment, something I can use from here, not Stripe. Okay, so I will actually walk everybody through how to create the whole system of a paid webinar with Webinar Ninja. I'll also keep in mind that Debbie's going to wants a workaround outside of Stripe, because we have a direct Stripe integration. Jeff says, I'm researching a different webinar platform, and I have narrowed it down to 3, Webinar Ninja, Webinar Jam, and Zoom Webinar. So trying to get information to best decision. Jeff, happy to answer those questions and really just display why would be a better fit for you. So let's jump right into today's workshop. I love it. Keep it coming, guys. And don't forget, if you have any questions, pop in the questions area below. Nicole, maybe you can pop Jeff's questions in the question about comparing us from Jam and Zoom and all those guys. That way I can make sure I answer it. Love it. Okay, so I start with this photo here, actually, with Nicole and I. We're in Rome at the Colosseum. This is a few years ago. And the reason why I put this photo here is because we all know the saying that Rome wasn't built in a day. And many of us, when we want to run a paid webinar, when we want to charge for admission to a webinar, we just want to just kind of put it all together and slap it up there and hope for the best. And it takes time, and it takes a system and a strategy to do this right. And a lot of us, we skip over the strategy and we just want to get to the result. But just like Rome, paid webinars they're not going to convert overnight. You have to actually put in a little bit of work, a little bit of strategy, and you will reap the benefits for years to come. It's going to save you a lot of time and money and effort and headaches in the long run if you follow today's steps. Okay, these are proven. These are things that we've used. These are things that our users have used. We have over 15,000 users, so we got a lot of data on what works and what doesn't. Okay, so Don says, I would love, I would live, I think live or love, live, I live webinar be almost as good as screen sharing when you have questions. Okay, I'll take a look. Cool. So this is the problem with running a paid webinar, okay? A lot of people will create a paid webinar, they'll put a price tag on it, and crickets, they sell to crickets, right? They'll have one or two maybe customers will pay for the paid webinar, and they're wondering, hey, why isn't anybody buying my paid webinar? Why isn't anybody buying? Can anybody resonate with this? Whether it's a paid webinar or a free webinar, where their biggest problem, their biggest fear is filling the webinar. Let me know in the chat if this is something that you resonate with, or are you good? You have packed webinars all the time. Let me know. Hey, Teresa, good to have you here. So this is a really good place to start, because we have to recognize what the problem is here. Okay, the problem is that in order for you to have customers, you have to have people coming to your webinar interested and are willing to pay for what you're offering. Would you agree with that? Let me know in the chat if you would agree with that. So this is the main problem we're going to try to solve today. Okay, thanks for this, Max. Love it, no problem. So how do you feel when you don't get enough paid webinar registrants? Right, Jeff says yes. Let me know in the chat. How do you feel when you don't get enough paid registrants? Right now, be honest, guys. There's no right or wrong answer here. No judgments here. Okay, how do you feel? If you don't run paid webinars, how does it feel when you run a free webinar and you don't get enough registrants? We don't get enough so you have a crowd that's interacting with you like today, okay? So Don says, if it could take a step-by-step through the process, it could easily help me with something intuitive. No problem, Don. We'll go through the whole step, all the steps today with creating the paid webinar. Drew says, I feel lost, like it was a waste of time. Great answer, Drew, okay? Hey, Sri, good morning to all of those in Brisbane, Australia. Great, Sri, to have you. What else, guys? How do you feel when you don't get enough paid webinars, okay? When you don't get enough paid webinar registrants, sorry, or any kind of registrants if you have a free webinar, right? Dejected, Seth says, okay? Max says frustrated, right? These are all valid answers and replies and reactions, okay? Here are the top 3 things that people say to this answer, okay? They say they feel disappointed, okay? They're upset that they put in all this effort to create this webinar, put a price tag on it, put it on social, and maybe they even ran some ads on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it was, and they just feel disappointed. Like, man, no one showed up. Man, I only had a couple customers. Is it even worth doing? They feel disappointed, right? They'll feel frustrated because it's like, I don't know what to fix, right? I'm frustrated. I don't know what's wrong, right? I want to do this. I want more customers. I want more people buying my paid webinars. I want people, registering for my webinars, but I don't know where the problem lies, right? I don't know how to fix this problem, okay? What Max said, right? They'll feel confused. Like, what happened? I did everything I was supposed to. I created great content. I priced it appropriately. I marketed, right? What is going on? Right? These are the 3 top things that people feel when they don't get enough paid webinar registrants. So I want to solve this problem. I want to solve this problem for you to make sure you get enough registrants on your paid webinars, that you get people actually buying what you're selling on that registration, okay? So today I'm going to give you an A to Z paid webinar system, right? I'm going to underline, if I could underline right now, I'd say webinar system. I would underline system. A lot of us, when it comes to paid webinars, like I said, we just try to put a webinar together. No, you have to create a whole system around it to make sure you have buyers, okay? Number 2, we're going to talk about how to convert the potential signups into actual paid signups, okay? How to get people to actually pay for your webinars, okay? Number 3, we're going to talk about how to spend wisely and effectively on ads for your webinar. Running ads is a very easy way for you to lose money. If you want to burn money, right? If you have money burning in your pocket, run some ads, okay? It's very easy to lose a lot of money if you do it incorrectly, okay? I want to show you how you can run some ads to get the most out of your money and get the most return on investment for your money, okay? We're also going to talk about how to make more sales past your paid webinar. Getting people to pay for your paid webinar is just the beginning, okay? We'll talk about why this is so important and how you can capitalize on the fact that you already built this trust with the audience and that this person has already bought from you. They're more likely to buy from you again. Again, we're also going to leverage all the power we put into getting that customer in the first place. Then finally, what we'll talk about is how to get everything set up and get started today. So we'll walk you through step by step inside of Webinar Ninja, how to set the system up so that you can have this rolling for you within a week or so. And then you can just get it going and start selling your paid webinar. And of course, we'll answer every single question. So if you have any questions along the way, make sure you pop them below the video area. I'll make sure to answer every single question today. All right. So Jeff says we run free webinars for credit unions of helpful information, then follow up and try to convert them to clients. We have good attendance, 50 to 100 people each time. We are using GoToMeeting, but we need to move to a true webinar platform. Okay, Jeff. So I'm going to show you today how this all works in a system, how to set it up inside of Webinar Ninja so you could see if this is a good fit for you and your needs. Nicole says, okay, so she's just replying to Jeff. Awesome stuff. And a great question from Nicole. We'd love to hear why you're looking to switch. So how's this sound, guys? How's today's agenda sound? Let me know if this sounds good to you. Give me a thumbs up, give me a fire, give me a hell yeah, give me something in the chat, all right? If you haven't been on a webinar with me before, I am going to make you interact with me because I really believe that the more you put into the session, the more you're going to get out of it. You're here anyway, right? Let's get the most out of it. Let's make sure that at the end of today's workshop, you are 100% better at this topic. You're better at running paid webinars. I love it. Steve with the check mark, Seth with the thumbs up, Drew thumbs up. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, that's my job. I'm going to cover these things. I'm going to give you all these things today, okay? Your job is to take notes, okay? That's your job. I really encourage you to take notes, whether that's with a note-taking app on your computer or on your phone or on a piece of paper, classic piece of paper. We love it, okay? Why? Because taking notes is the first step in taking action, okay? Is the first step in taking action. And it's important for you to start taking action on what you're doing because you're going to start writing things that will apply to your specific business as I teach, right? How to apply it to your specific niche, your market, your audience, okay? By taking notes, you're subconsciously saying that, hey, I'm taking this seriously and I'm going to implement what is being taught today, okay? Implementation is key here, right? I can talk to you and give you the best information in the world, the greatest strategies in the world, but if you do nothing with it, right, it's going to be useless to your business, okay? So make sure that you go ahead and implement that and start writing notes. Okay, sounds good. All right, and a question Spotty keeps skipping. Sorry, Don. I love that you talk fast. Oh boy, it's the New Yorker in me. I was born and raised in New York, so I actually slowed down since my early days. So I'll take the compliment, Debbie. So for those who don't know, before I started this company, Webinar Ninja, I was a teacher for 13 years. I was a high school and university teacher. I taught English as a second language. That was my job. I was also a teacher trainer. My job in that field was also, I specialized in classroom management, right? So I would help teachers manage unruly students, right? That was my expertise. That was my former life. This is what I did. I side hustled, built businesses on the side while I was in education. But in 2012, I went into full-time entrepreneurship and I started Webinar Ninja with my partner, Nicole Baldino, who's in the chat. And it's been a fun journey since. Today, I have run over 500 webinars with Webinar Ninja. As you might have guessed, I was attracted to webinars when I went to entrepreneurship because I love teaching and I love presenting. This is something that I have worked on all my life, something I really enjoy doing. So now I just teach on my own terms. Webinar Ninja has over 15,000 users, so we have a lot of great data about what works, what doesn't, a lot of different strategies that people use that I like to share on these webinars. And we've had over a million people attend a webinar on Webinar Ninja, so we know what actually resonates with people, what works, and what doesn't. So this is what I want to share with you today. I wanted to give you a quick backstory and a little bit of a context to why I'm here today. I'm actually the founder of the company. I still run the webinars for Webinar Ninja because I still like to stay in touch with my audience, with the people that are interested in the topic, interested in webinars. I like to learn about their needs, their wants, their pains, because I want to be able to lead my team and steer them in the right direction and make sure that they hear from me what the customers, what our audience is saying. So that's kind of why you're seeing my face today rather than somebody else from our team. So thanks so much for being here today. And I can't wait to start giving you some great strategies to create a great system for your paid webinars. All right. Hey, Seth from New York. Great to have you. Whereabouts in New York, Seth? We lived in the West Village for a few years, right above Mamoon's Falafel on McDougal Street. Would love to hear where. Cool. And Jeff, yes, you can have multiple presenters on Webinar Ninja, and I'll show you how you can do that in a moment. Hell's Kitchen, great area. Love Mamoon's. Oh, who doesn't? Gosh, that was a staple. Okay, so here's a question for everybody in the chat. Let me know. Put your hands on the keyboard. Who doesn't like selling? Okay, be honest. If you don't like selling, just say I don't like selling. It's okay. It's totally fine. Okay, I want to know. This is natural for you not to like selling. We don't go to in grade 3, you don't take math, science, and sales, right? It's not something that we normally will be taught or be introduced to, right? I was a born salesman, Jeff says. Okay, this is very rare, Jeff, but I love it. Great. My dad is a born salesman. He used to sell us on things like staying home on the weekend and doing our homework. So it's a necessary evil, says, oh boy. Drew says, I like it. Okay, anybody don't like sales? Be honest, guys. It's okay if you don't like sales, okay? Orly, do you like sales? Orly's on our sports team, right? I've been in sales for the last 12 years, Drew says. Okay, great. I'm good with selling, Debbie says. Okay, great. This is interesting because normally when I ask this question in this workshop, the overwhelming answers are like, Orly, not at all, right? Sales is a winner for 2. Okay, so anybody, sales is a winner for 2. So anybody, that's true. Make sure that's a win-win for everybody. Okay, so for some of us, we don't like to sell because it makes us uncomfortable. Maybe it's something that's skill that we're not honed into, or maybe we just feel like it's just tiresome. Right? It's something, a burden on you, like, oh man, I got to make 5 sales today or my ass is on the line, right? No, I want to kind of reverse this a little bit. And what's great about the internet and what's great about webinars in particular, you don't have to be a stellar salesperson to sell, right? Because there's good news, right? The good news is that teaching is the new selling, okay? And that's what I love about webinars, is that it allows you to show people what you can do rather than having to sell them on what you can do, right? And really, this is really important to understand, even if you love sales, is that we live in an age where you have a very educated buyer. People come in knowing a little bit about your product, knowing a little bit about what they want and their needs. And I'm sure some of you are here right now, kind of evaluating Webinar Ninja. So they're an educated buyer. Your job is to give them the information they need so that they can make a decision, right? Here's a truth that people don't want to admit in sales, in internet marketing, and all that kind of stuff. Here's the truth. Ready for it, guys? You can't make anybody buy anything. You cannot make anybody buy anything. You try to use pressure sales, you try to use false scarcity, if you try to, make people feel like they have to buy or the world's going to end, what's going to happen? Well, first of all, after that all kind of dust settles, they're not going to really remember you in the best light. It'll probably end up in a refund or a chargeback from the bank, okay? And it really tarnishes your actual brand, right? So your job is to give them all the information, to show them, not sell them, right? And then when they're ready to buy, and that could be right now on the webinar, it could be right now during your presentation, or they might come back later when they are ready. But the point is that it's not about a question of, if they'll buy, it's when they'll buy, right? And they're not going to go shopping around. They're going to come back to you because you built that relationship with them, okay? That's really the power of webinars, that building that relationship, okay? So the paid webinar system's all based on this rule. Rule number one is if you have no trust, you have no sale, right? If you haven't invested in building trust with your audience, you cannot sell them on buying or paying for admission for your webinar. Who agrees with this? Let me know in the chat. Does this make sense to you, right? If I don't trust you, if we haven't built a relationship yet, right? Let's just talk about trust in general, right? If I trust somebody and I have met them for a very long time, right? Say, for example, I know somebody for 20 years and they come to me and say, hey, let's start a lemonade stand together. We don't need a contract. We trust each other. A handshake is fine, right? So there is a deal that's going to happen there. But what if somebody just came off the street and said, hey, let's start a lemonade stand together? Be like, who are you? What are you talking about? Get out of my face, right? That's not even going to happen, right? Trust is super important. So anytime you ask for money, anytime you ask somebody, hey, I want your dollar bills, I want the hard-earned money that you have in the bank, right? Anytime you ask that from somebody, you have to have a level of trust. You have to have a level of rapport or relationship with that person, okay? So you have to build trust before you can make an offer, right? In order for you to say, hey, I have this paid webinar for you. It's $50. It's on this topic, right? The first question anybody in the world who's never heard of you before, or even they heard of you once or twice, or they're on your email list, the only time they're going to say yes, the only thing they're going to say is, hey, why should I pay for that? Why? They're not convinced yet, right? It's a no-brainer when they trust you, right? It's a no-brainer when you. Have you ever wondered why some people, they buy something immediately when it releases? Like when Apple releases a new set of headphones, they buy it immediately. They don't even think about it, right? Because Apple has spent a lot of time building trust with their audience to the point where like they don't even need to try it. They don't. Apple made it, I'll take it, right? Just take my money. Tesla has the same kind of audience there, right? So build trust before you make an offer, and that's the crux, that's the backbone, that's the theory behind of the whole system here. We got to build trust. We got to make sure that people really know that we have their best interest in mind and that we're going to deliver for them before we say, hey, by the way, can I have some money? And they're going to be like, okay, cool, no problem. You can take my money because I know that you're going to deliver in exchange for that money. Does that make sense, guys? Let me know in the chat. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a yes. Let me know. I want to make sure this resonates with you before we move on to each step, okay? Because this is really foundational before we move on. Max says yes. I love it. C says 100%. Cool. What else, guys? Debbie says trust is the foundation of every business. I love it. Trust is important, Jeff says. Max says no trust, no sale. Jeff says all our contracts have a 60 days out clause because we are good enough to not acquire them to lock into a long-term contract. Okay, cool. Confidence. So how do you build this trust before you make the offer? Before you say, hey, I got this paid webinar for $50 or $100 or whatever it is, right? How do you do this, right? How do you build this system so people, when you do make that offer, they're like, yep, I'm sold. You don't have to tell me anything. I'm good, right? I want it. So you're going to show them, you're not going to sell them. But how do you do that? How do you set this up? How do you show them what you can do? Show what you're all about. Right? Really quick in the chat, let me know right now what your product or service is. What do you do? Tell me, like, do you sell a course? Do you sell coaching? Do you sell consulting? Tell me what you do right now so I can know like what your actual product is. What is your offering to your audience, right? So I can give some relevant examples as I teach, okay? Debbie says, I'm a marketing consultant. Great. So obviously, a great webinar for you to show them and not sell them is to show them what you can do for their marketing, right? Here are some results I got for my past clients. Here's some campaigns I've done. Here's the numbers. Here's the return on investment, right? Drew says help founders transition out of founder-led sales by building sales playbooks. Love it, Drew. Okay, so another good example. Hey, I want to show you how you can, step back a little bit and have a system in place so you can get people involved. Here are some examples of what I did for this company, right? So you're showing them, again, you're not selling them, okay? So the first step in this paid webinar system is an automated webinar, okay? Not a live webinar, not a paid webinar with a price tag, not anything else, right? There's a whole other things people do. They do a newsletter, they try to do, social media marketing, all the other stuff. No, step one is we're going to create an automated webinar, okay? There is a big reason why we do this. Max is does professional development to executive assistants. I love that. Cool. So why do we want to create an automated webinar? This is very, very important, okay? Everybody knows what a sales funnel is, right? It's a funnel, and you want to bring in people, right? And through the funnel, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to qualify people to make sure that before you make an offer, you've built trust, but you also make sure you have the right people in front of you, right? Let's say, for example, I'm trying to sell a used car, right? I'm trying to sell my car, right? And I want to present to people, hey, here's my car, it's for sale. Does it make sense to have a bunch of 10-year-olds in front of me? Does it make sense to have 10-year-olds in front of me when I'm trying to sell that car, right? Most likely not, right? If the car's, let's say, for example, a $100,000 car, right? Does it make sense for me to have a 17-year-old, right? Probably not, because it's quite expensive. It's not really in the price range of a first car, right? I need somebody who can drive to be able to buy my car, right? To make use of it, to see the value in it, right? So a lot of us, we are selling our paid webinars to every single person with a pulse, right? And you don't want to do that. You don't want to waste your time with your live pitch, with your live webinar, to sell your webinar without having the right people in front of you, okay? So what does the automated webinar do? You're going to have an automated webinar that invites people to identify buyers. I need to know who is a buyer from these people, right? We're going to talk about how to drive traffic to this automated webinar in a moment, okay? That's coming for sure, okay? You're going to do a 30-minute workshop on the steps to your paid webinar result, okay? So I want you to think right now and write down in your notebook and your notes, okay? What is the promise of your paid webinar, right? What's the title of your paid webinar? For example, let's say I'm a snowboarding coach. I coach people how to snowboard, beginners. And my paid webinar is $100, and it's how to survive your first 2 days on the slopes, right? It's a paid webinar. It gives them all the tips on how to link your turns and how to do toe edge, heel edge, how not to fall and hurt yourself too much, right? This is my workshop. That's my result, right? What's the real result here? The real result here is that you're not going to look like a fool in front of your friends, right? You're going to have a little bit of fun, even though it's the first time you're out in the snow, okay? So I'm going to create a 30-minute workshop in my automated webinar, walking through the high-level steps of what this paid webinar is all about, what the results are going to get, like what life is like when they were able to pull this off, right? Be able to, I can't teach all the skills in 30 minutes, but I can tell you an overview of here are the steps that you're going to do. Here are the exercises you're going to do with me on that paid webinar, okay? So you're going to break it down on a high level. Your call to action is to attend a live webinar demo. So a lot of people on a webinar, they'll have an offer right at the end of the webinar. Your offer, your call to action, your CTA, is to attend a live webinar demo. Right? It's not a product, it's not a sale. You're not selling them anything. You're actually inviting them to a free live webinar demo. Okay? Remember, this automated webinar, you're going to shoot it once and it's going to run over and over and over. And basically, it's going to be a filtration system for those who want to learn more, right? It shows them how they can implement your paid training, right? How you can get into them. So basically, what it is an invite to learn more about your paid webinar. Right? They know that if they go to this live webinar, they're going to be what? They're going to be sold. They're going to be taught. They're going to be shown this product. Basically, you're inviting them to a full demo of your paid product. And when I say product, I'm talking about your paid webinar, the paid webinar that you're charging for, right? So as you can see, paid webinar, we're going to do it, but it's a couple of steps down, okay? Because again, we want to build trust. We want to filter people. We want to make sure that we have the right people in front of us, okay? And we want to save our own time, right? We can't do a live webinar every minute of the hour, every day of the week, right? So that's the purpose of the automated webinar, is to filter people through, okay? So far, so good, guys, on step one. We're going to run an automated webinar, 30-minute workshop on the steps, high level of your paid webinar. And then you're going to invite them, hey, you want to learn more how to implement what I just taught? Well, I have a paid program that's a 2-hour intensive that's going to show you this. If you want to learn more about this program, I have a live webinar. You can go ahead and check it out. Here's a link, register here. Does that make sense, guys? I just gave you a quick snapshot of the automated webinar step 1. Give me a thumbs up if we should move on, if this is good. Is no longer on you. Let me just quickly switch up here. Okay. I'll change my layout real quick. Okay. Is there a magic to 30 minutes, Barry? We have found that it's optimal at 30 minutes. You can go 45, even an hour. I have found that I have just better completion rates, and people get to the CTA if it's 30 minutes long, because I can keep it nice and short. An automated webinar, even though I'm asking rhetorical questions, I'm running polls, and I'm making interactive, it's not as back and forth, so I can save a bit of time, okay? So make sure, I like to keep it tight. I find that 30 minutes converts the best. Cool. Max says, do I need an auto webinar if already have an audience following? Yes, you do, Max. I'll tell you why, because you still have to warm them up, okay? There's still, a lot of us, we think that our audience on our email list are like people that sit right next to us on our desk every day. Like, they know exactly what's going on. They know the value of your product. They still need to be sold to. They still need to be warmed up. So invite them to your automated webinar. And there's no problem with that. You can invite them to your automated webinar and get them to watch your workshop and get them go through the system. And luckily, Webinar Ninja has an automated system right inside built in. Sri says, engagement and retention is better for shorter videos. True. I teach at the university, and longer videos almost always get ignored by students. This is very true. So you want to keep it as tight as possible. Jeff says, all I see is something that looks like a background wall stuff. Yep, that's me in the back, right? That's my background. I'm still in frame though. Maybe I can I move my layout a little bit. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. Sounds like everybody's good to go. Let's make it happen. All right, so the second step is a live webinar demo, okay? So you have invited them to this live webinar, right? We're not calling it a sales webinar. We're not calling it a workshop. We're calling it a demo. Why are we calling it a demo? Why do we say, come to my live webinar demo, right? Come to my live demo on my snowboarding tactics for your first days on the slopes, right? Why are we calling it why is it important for me to call it a demo, right? Let me know in the chat. Why demo? Okay. When you buy a car, what do you do when you buy a car? Most people, before they buy a car, what do? They drive it, right? They do it on a test drive, right? Good, Drew, right? And people that go on a test drive, are these people, these are solicited questions. I love this question. If I go on a test drive, if I go to a dealership and I go on a test drive, right? What is the likelihood of me being somebody who's just trying to waste, an hour before my movie starts in the theater, right? No one does that, right? You only go on a test drive unless you're interested in buying, right? So that's why I want to call it a demo, because demos are for people that are interested in buying. They want to see the product in action. They want to see a tour of the product. They want to see a tour of what they're going to get. Demo is a word for people that are interested in being sold to. Okay. So I call it a demo because I want them to be there understanding that we're going to be talking about what you're going to buy, my offer, pretty much the whole time. And that's why we call it a demo. Okay. So what do we do in this demo? So we're going to have a live webinar that demos your paid webinar. So basically we're selling the paid webinar. We're pretending the paid webinar is like a product, like a course, a standalone course. Okay. And it's going to be 60 minutes and we're going to cover the who, what, why, and how plus results. So we're going to cover in detail, who is this paid webinar for? What is it all about, right? What does it cover, right? So if I'm going to use the snowboarding paid webinar example, I'm going to say, this is for beginners. People have never snowboarded before, and they're going to go on the slopes. Or maybe it's your second time. Maybe you had a bad experience your first time, right? What is it? Well, it's actually a 2-hour intensive training that I'm going to show you step by step. And you can actually watch this while you're on the slopes, right? And I'm going to give you the steps that you need to be able to have a successful first 2 days, some exercises, some things you can do step by step, right? Why? Well, no one likes to have a sore butt at the end of 2 days. No one likes to feel like they're being left behind from their friends that know how to ski and know how to snowboard. No one likes to waste their money because snowboarding is expensive. This is why this is a great investment. You're going to pay $100, but if you had a private lesson at some of the snow villages, they're like $300, $400 each, right? And how, right? We're going to do this live on a webinar. You're going to be able to ask questions. You can do it on your phone. It's going to be fun. Okay. And what are some of the results? Well, here are some results from some of my past students. Here's some results of some things that I've helped people. Here's a quick clip of Nancy going off the ski lift and going down her first blue run. Okay. That's an example of a live webinar demo. I'm demoing what they're going to get, what it is like, what life is like when you take this paid webinar. Okay. And then the CTA is what? The call to action. My offer is to enroll in the paid webinar, which is just a link to my paid webinar where they can register and pay for the paid webinar. Okay. So this makes life a whole lot easier. Why? Because on this live demo, I have buyers on there and people that go ahead and go and watch through my live demo. They are being shown what they're going to get. They're getting a demo. They're getting a demonstration of what's going to happen if they buy, what life is like after they buy, what are the results they're going to get. At the end of the day, people are buying a result, right? In my product, the snowboarding product, they just want to feel good and have a good time on their snowboarding trip. And that's what the result they're looking for. And as long as you can show them that they have a good chance of getting that result if they buy, then they're going to buy. That's it. So now you've built that trust, they know who you are, and you've had so many touch points up to this point. Touch points are incredibly important, okay? Why do you think that, Mercedes spends so much money on car ads on the Super Bowl, ads on billboards, they're in radio ads, they're sponsoring podcasts, right? They're, sponsoring sporting events. Why do you think they do that? Why do you think they spend millions upon millions of dollars every single year on just awareness ads? Why do you think they do that? Let me know in the chat. I'm going to go down and see what you guys say. Builds confidence. Love it. Don. Debbie says, why not just use an automated demo for this? Why do you give the actual value in the live demo? Good question, Debbie. We're going to put that in the Q&A. Could you pop that in the Q&A, Debbie? We're going to make sure we answer that because that's a really good question. I want to make sure when we complete the whole system, I will make sure I address that. Drew says, to keep them on top of mind, taps into lifestyle aspirations. Love it, Max. Well, statistically, and Mercedes knows this, they have a crack team on it, right? You need 7 touch points before you become a recognizable brand, a trustworthy brand. 7 touch points. That means that you need to be in contact with a brand, with a company, at least 7 times before you're like, okay, this is like something that's normal. This is something that is well known, that's trusted, okay? And this is why we have this system, okay? Because they're going to see your automated webinar on social. They're going to click on it. That's a touch point. They're then going to go to your registration page. That's a touch point. After they register, they see a thank you page. That's a touch point. They're going to get a few email notifications leading to the automated webinar. That's a touch point. Then they're going to go to the automated webinar. They're going to get all this value. That's a touch point. They're going to go to your live demo, and they're going to get reminders for the live demo. That's a bunch of touch points. And they're going to be on the live demo, and they're going to watch your webinar and your demo and walking you through the paid webinar. That's another touch point, okay? So as you can see, by the time you make the offer to the paid webinar, they've already established you as a trusted brand. They've seen you, they've heard about you, you followed up with them, all that kind of stuff, okay? So that's step 2. We're going to talk about how to form an offer. A lot of people say, well, so how do I form an offer to tell them about my paid webinar? This is a very simplified, maybe some people might even say an oversimplified format for an offer. This is if you have never created an offer before, this is a good framework, okay? You can add to this framework, you can customize it, but this is a good foundation, okay? For any offer, okay? Whether you're doing a paid webinar or otherwise, right? The first thing you're gonna tell them is what they're gonna get, right? And when I say what they're gonna get yes, you're going to say, we're going to cover these skills, or we're going to talk about this in the workshop, or this is how long the workshop, or you're going to get the replay, or you can ask questions. All that stuff is important. But really what you should spend most of your effort and time on is what they really paid for, is they're going to get a result, all right? This is what you're going to get, right? You're going to get a great first time on the slopes. You're going to feel confident. You're going to be able to go off the lift, not be afraid, join your friends down the mountain, and go at your own pace and feel great, right? That's really what people are buying in my course for snowboarding. I don't have this course, by the way, but I'm just giving an example. That's really what people are buying, right? Is being able to do that. What are people buying when they buy Webinar Ninja, right? They're not really buying a system to run a webinar, to broadcast, to replay. These are all features, and that's great. But really what they're buying is they're buying a solution, right? They're buying a way for being able, also no snow down under. No, we have snow. We have snow in Kosciuszko Mountain. I go every year. So it's 90 days. The season's 90 days, but it's great. So going back to it, right? So what you really want to focus on is, I just totally lost my train of thought with it snowing. Sorry about that. So yes, so you want to really give them a result. They really care about the result. So when it comes to Webinar Ninja, really they're looking for a solution, right? They want a solution to the webinar problem. What's that problem? A lot of moving parts, right? There's a lot of different pieces of software that work together. They want a one-stop shop, somewhere they can do everything in one place. They want ease of use. They want to go in and do the webinar and go out and not waste too much time. You know, they have other things to do in their business, okay? That's really what they're looking for. That's the result they're looking for, right? Everything else is kind of just a plus, okay? The next is the investment. How much time is this going to take? How much time is it going to take after the webinar if they have to do something in terms of implementing the skills that you give them? What is the investment of money? What is the investment of effort? All that kind of stuff. The next is CSS, which is a customer success story, okay? It's really important for you to show people that you're not the only person that thinks you're awesome, okay? You need to show that, hey, I try to present as much as I can, but let somebody else do the selling for me. Show them the results that you get. And I'll give you an example of a customer success story in a bit. We'll also talk about risk reversal. So if you have a money-back guarantee, if you have some sort of trial, some way that you have take on the risk. Say, hey, I believe in my product to the point, just like the 60-day contract, right, that you can cancel anytime or you can get a refund. So that way they feel that they can lower the risk, and then you close off with another customer success story showing people what life is like after they consume your product. Okay, so step 3 is then we go into the paid webinar workshop. They have registered, they have paid for your paid webinar, and now you're doing your paid webinar workshop, right? You're on the paid webinar. Now you might be thinking, well, it's over, Omar, right? Mission accomplished, right? Yes and no, okay? So we still have more to do, okay? So in the paid webinar, your job is to make sure you deliver on that promise. Whatever that promise you made on the title of the paid webinar, you need to deliver, because this is really important, because this is your first time to show people that, hey, when you give me your money, I deliver. So make sure you deliver. You're going to capitalize on the momentum of the win. The win meaning that they paid for this paid webinar, right? Now you have some really good people that have come through a great trust building system, that have gone through, that are buyers, and they bought from you. They have trusted you to the point where they have said, hey, take my money. And now you give them a win. Now you're going to capitalize on it, and you're going to give them a CTA. You're going to have them, and this is just an example, you're going to enroll them in a higher tier product, a higher tier consulting package. You're going to enroll them in a VIP group coaching, for example, where you can create a series webinar that's inside of Webinar Ninja, and you can do some group coaching, okay? Why are we doing this? Okay, a lot of us, we stop too early, okay? You have solved one problem for your clients, right? If you are able to solve a problem for your clients, you've helped them in some way. The next question they have in their mind is, what else can you do for me? What else? I'm going to give you a very simple example. You go to an ice cream shop, a gelato place that's amazing, right? First time you go there, you try an ice cream. It's, their coffee flavor. You try it, it's incredible. It's amazing. It makes you weak in the knees. The first question you have in your mind is not, well, that's it. I'm not going to buy ice cream again. you're going to say, what other flavors do they have? What other things do they have? This is incredible. I got to check out all their flavors, right? So this is the same thing with anything you buy, right? So if somebody buys from you, right, and you solve that problem. So if I solve the problem of they're just a beginner and they're on the snowboard and boom, now they're on the board and they feel great. What's next? Don't leave them hanging. It's your obligation as a problem solver, as an entrepreneur, to give them something if they need it, right? So go ahead and offer them something to the next level. So for me, it might be a VIP group coaching for taking your snowboarding skills to the next level, choosing the right board as an intermediate, right? How to shop for the right equipment, how to make sure you get the best deals on season passes, whatever. The point here is that you can sell them something, whether it's a long-term contract, whether it's an annual contract, whatever it is, because now they believe in you and they're ready to invest, okay? So this is super, super important. Okay, so how do you drive traffic to this whole system, okay? You're gonna run ads, and I'll tell you why in a moment, why this is really important, why you should always be offering somebody on your paid webinar the next level, okay, is we're gonna start driving traffic to this system, right? And there's a lot of ways you can run paid ads. You can run a lot of different ones, YouTube, LinkedIn. I really believe when it comes to this system, and we have found the results to prove it, that Facebook and Instagram are the best, okay, in terms of ROI, return on investment, okay? This might change in 6 months, but right now, Facebook and Instagram ads are the best way to drive traffic via paid ads, okay? So the first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna run ads to your automated webinars, okay? This is why the system of starting with an automated webinar is so important, right? Why do I wanna run my ad to the automated webinar? Right? Why do I want to do that? Why don't I just run the ad straight to the paid webinar? Okay. Let me know, guys, in the chat. Why don't I just run an ad straight to the paid webinar? Why do I run the ad to the automated webinar? Why do I create ads on Facebook and Instagram to that? Steve says too cold. Good. The leads are too cold. Qualifying the buyers. Great. Excellent. What else? These are all good answers. Good. Anybody else want to throw a suggestion in here? Okay. Build trust instantaneously. Good, right? So, or initially. Sorry, initially. Few enrollments. Right. Good. So there's a whole bunch of reasons, and all these are correct. Okay. But the number one reason is that I want to lower my cost per acquisition. I want to lower how much it costs me to get a lead. Right. I want them to buy the paid webinar. Eventually, that's my end goal. But I have to lower how much it costs me, because otherwise it's going to be too expensive for me to run ads. A lot of people think I don't have money to run ads. Well, it's because you probably don't have a system to lower the cost of acquisition. Okay. So what you have to do here is the automated webinar is a great way to have a lower cost of acquisition, because it's instant access. You can do an on-demand webinar so they can watch it immediately, or they can watch it at any scheduled time during that day. The point here is that is it easier for somebody to convert if they get the content immediately, or if they have to wait a week and they have to do it at a certain time, okay? Especially if they don't know who you are, right? So obviously it's easier to convert if it's instant. So we want to lower our cost per acquisition as much as possible. That's where we run the ads to the automated webinars. Yes, not everybody that signs up on the automated webinar is going to buy instantly, but these are not, absolute rubbish leads. These are leads that you can warm up later in your email lists and your newsletters and your webinars. But we're going to run the numbers right now so you can see. So what we're going to do here is we're going to know our cost per acquisition. This is very important. A lot of people don't know how much it costs them to get a customer through paid ads, and we're going to show you the math to do that. My last tip when it comes to this topic before we move on to the numbers is use a tool or an agency to lower your cost per customer or acquisition, okay? So if you can't afford an agency, agencies can start around $2,000. If you go to Fiverr, you probably can get one for $500 a month if you're just doing very isolated campaigns. It's a good investment because they're going to save you money in the long run. You're going to waste a lot of money on your own if you are not an FB expert, if you're not an Instagram expert. These things change almost on a daily basis. It's very hard. It's a full-time job, right? If you don't want to go the agency route, and I didn't use an agency my first couple of years, and that's just what I did at the time, you can use a tool. I love the tool Espresso, and this basically allows me to create hundreds of different ads and split test them automatically. It's one of the easiest tools to run Facebook and Instagram ads. I highly recommend them. They are not an affiliate. I'm not getting any sort of kickback or anything like that. I just use them, and I really think they're great. So if you're not going to go with an agency, use a tool, because this is going to save you money. It's going to optimize your ads to make sure that the right ads are going to convert. Okay, so let's run the numbers. Let's say, for example, it cost me $3 to get somebody to register to my instant access to my Watch Now automated webinar, right? That's how much Facebook charges me on average per sign up, let's say, okay? And I get 500 registrations. That means I paid $1,500 on Facebook ads to get people to sign up for my automated webinar. From those people, the 500, eventually after a few weeks, I can run that webinar over and over, and I have email notifications, I have reminders, I have different follow-up sequences to get those people to come to my live webinar, 300. Maybe not all of them will go instantly. Maybe your first round of people will be 150 people will go to the live webinar. But then, of course, you have your email notifications inside your automated webinar that can remind them, hey, I have a live webinar, check it out. And you get them to come to your live webinar. And then you can run this live webinar maybe even every week. So that way you can be able to show them the demo and get new people off that list, right? These are great leads that you have off your paid ad. Let's say 300 of them eventually come to your live webinar, and they're live attendees, okay? From there, I'm trying to get as conservative as possible. You have 60 paid webinar sales. So from the 300, you get 60 people to buy your paid webinar. And let's say you are selling it at a great price. Your paid webinar is $50, okay? So you made $3,000 on sales from your paid webinar, okay? So right here, we doubled our money, right? We made, we doubled our return on investment here of $1,500, but we're not going to stop here. This is why it's important for you to sell something on the paid webinar to maximize the value of each lead, okay? Let's say from those 60 people that are on the paid webinar, only 12 of them buy your VIP coaching at $500 a month. That's $6,000, okay? So you have a total of profit of $9,000, $6,000 reoccurring, by the way, okay? That's a total profit of instant total profit of $7,500, okay? So now I know the numbers. I'm giving you an example so that you can plug in your own numbers when you do your cost per acquisition, and I know how much money I can spend on ads, right? But if I don't do the numbers, it's just a black hole, okay? You want to make sure you know how much profit you're making, you know how much you're selling your products for, you know that the importance of selling something on your paid webinar as well to increase the return on investment that you made on your ads, okay? Do you guys find these numbers helpful? Do you find that this is an easy way for you to kind of break things down, and that way you can know how to invest on paid ads to your automated webinar? Let me know in the chat if this is helpful. Helpful, not helpful? Let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down in the chat. Let me know. So how do we go ahead and put this all together? Great question. Seth says it's $50 is a good starting point. Yes, it is a good starting point. If you are totally a newbie and you have no credibility in the market, $50 is definitely something people will part for live training, 2 hours, great result. They have a copy of it. It's good value. It all depends on what you are giving them, right? It's criminal to charge $50 if whatever you're teaching them is going to make them $100,000, right? That's just ridiculous. If you are going to show them, here's a way for you to save $2,000 when you I don't know, buy your next used car, right? And you're charging $50, right? That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. I'll pay $50 all day for that. Okay, cool. All right, so let's keep going. How do you put this all together? So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go into Webinar Ninja. I'm going to show you step by step how to put this system together. Who could tell me what the first thing we have to create in this system? First step is what? Okay, we're going to create an automated webinar, right? So inside of Webinar Ninja, I'm inside my account right now. It's my dashboard. This is where I see all my upcoming webinars. I can create a webinar instantly in any kind of webinar. We have all the different types of webinars built in. And with any plan with Webinar Ninja, you get both live and automated webinars. So you can run the system with any plan on Webinar Ninja, even our starter plan at $49 a month. you can go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm going to create a live webinar. Nope, I'm going to create an automated webinar because the first step is automated. This is so simple. Okay, so for example, I'm just going to say snowboarding. This is snowboarding 101, right? Cool. That's the name of my automated webinar. It's free. Okay, and I'm going to make this a watch now webinar. Okay, so they can watch it instantly. I can also do both if I want, like a watch now, and I could choose dates. So I could do like every day, for example. And I can offer 3 times a day, and I can choose the times and all that kind of stuff. And it'll also be instant access, so you can see that it gives you an example, okay? I can even, in my advanced settings, choose how many dates I want to make available on the registration page, or even remove blackout dates, holidays, things like that if I want to. The next step is I'm just going to add a video, and I have a choice. I can use my YouTube integration. I can just pop in a YouTube link, or I can just upload a video I have on my computer straight into Webinar Ninja, and we will store it for you. We will stream it for you, everything, okay? I can go to my library. I can go to all my webinars in the past. I can go to my YouTubes, add my replays, all that kind of stuff. So let's just say I'm going to use this video, for example, and add this video, and I'm going to hit Create Webinar. Now I have everything done for my automated webinar. When I hit Create Webinar, it's going to create all the aspects of my webinar. That's it. My webinar is created, all done. Nothing to do. I don't have to do anything else. That's it. Okay, literally, my registration page, my thank you pages, my email notifications, everything is created for you. Okay, now you can edit, you can register, you can edit, you can modify anything you want. So for example, I want to edit the registration page. I can go ahead and do that. I can use one of our many templates inside of Webinar Ninja for registration pages. I can change images, I can change colors, I can change fonts, I can do all that kind of stuff. I don't need to be a designer. I don't need to be a coder. It does everything instantly. It will change everything. I even change maybe the color. I want to change that. Boom. I can add images, logos, all that kind of stuff. And then I can just preview it, and it'll show me exactly what it looks like. Boom, done. And as you can see, I have instant access. I can also choose the dates that are available, just like I showed you. And it also will convert things to my local time zone so that people don't need to convert time zones. Time zones are a big pain. You don't need to worry about that. We take care of that for you. And we have tons of different templates you can choose from to change your registration page as well. Nice and simple. And what's great about this is that you could do this as well for the thank you page, which is the page they see after they register, which is another touch point we mentioned. Again, the thank you page also has a feature called Add to Calendar, where they can add this event right in their calendar. And you can do this for live, automated, series, any kind of webinar, and they can go ahead and add it to the Google, iCal, Yahoo, Apple, all that kind of stuff, Outlook calendars. They can go ahead and do that. Nice and simple. And I can modify this page too with many templates that we have as well inside the thank you page templates. They're going to get email notifications. You know, you can modify that. We'll talk about that in a moment. But let's move on. So the next step, we have an automated webinar. They're going to have an offer inside. You can go into the studio and change the offer. Okay, and I'll show you an example of an offer in a second. Okay, and the next call to action is go to my live demo, right? So I'm going to create a live demo webinar, right? So I got to create a live webinar that is going to lead them to the paid webinar, right? So we're going to create that first. This is a free webinar, so we're going to go ahead and do that. So, but as you can see, I can manage all the aspects of the webinar here if I want to. All right, so now I'm going to create a live webinar, okay? And let's call this live demo webinar. Live demo for paid webinar, there you go. And I'm going to choose a date. Let's say the next one I'm going to do is on the 29th. I'll do it at 11 a.m. The time zone is set in my settings, so I don't have to change at any time. This is my own personal time zone if you want to set that. You can add a co-host if you want. Somebody asked about presenters, so you can add a co-host. All you got to do is give their name and their email, and they get access to the webinar. Nice and simple, and they automatically get an email with all the instructions. Nice and easy. You can add a co-host at any time while you're creating. And then I create webinar. There you go. Now I have a live webinar. See how this is like super dead easy, no million steps. Webinar Ninja really, we worked hard on making it a simple to use software so that you can go in and go out and get your work done. So now I have my live demo webinar, right? I may want to change the email notifications inside of that. These are the email reminders inside to say, hey, come to my live webinar. We're going to go through the demo of my product, my paid webinar. You can change any of these sequences. We've already built in these sequences because we know that this works based on experience. The timing, the frequency,
the reminders, whether it's 1 hour away or it's starting now. And you can edit any of these emails, all the copy. You can change anything you want, okay? And you can, of course, always, you can change and then save as default. Say, for example, you want to change the copy here and then hit save as default and hit save. That way, the next time you run a webinar, you don't have to rewrite the copy. You don't have to rewrite the email. It's going to save for your next webinar, which is awesome. Okay. You can also make it inactive if you don't want this email to go out. And remember, I talked about follow-up emails later on. You want to send follow-up emails to encourage people to attend your webinar. Well, you can do that easily by adding a new notification. You can add as many follow-up emails as you like. You can filter for everybody who's registered or those who only attended or those who didn't attend. You can do it relative to time. So you can say, like, I want to send this 12 hours after the webinar ends, or I can say, no, actually, I want to do it 2 days before the webinar starts. And I can create and craft an email here and save that. And guess what? I can save it as default, and it can be added to my email notification sequences for future webinars. So I don't have to redo these emails again, which is really cool. And of course, I could do a manual broadcast. I could just send an email fire. Like, say, for example, I forgot to give them a PDF download. I can just say, everybody registered or everybody who attended, send them a manual email, and I'll send it out immediately. Nice and easy. So as you can see, Webinar Ninja has pretty much all the functionality you need, every single step that you need to be able to run the system. But we have one more step, right? We're going to have to create the paid webinar, okay? So let's go ahead. Let's go back. This is my preview here. And let's go ahead and create a paid webinar, okay? So let's go ahead and create a paid webinar. So now I have my automated webinar that leads to the live demo webinar, right? That where I sell my paid webinar and I give them my link. Hey, here's my paid webinar. Go ahead and buy it. Okay. So let's create that paid webinar so I can have a link to give them. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And again, this is going to be a live webinar. I'm going to say paid snowboarding webinar. I'm going to do it for 1 p.m. And this is going to be 2 hours, let's say. That's good, 2 hours. Or maybe we'll just do 30 minutes if you want, right? Boom, 90 minutes, cool. And I hit create webinar, done. So now that it's create webinar, oh, I didn't do paid, my bad. Let me do that again. Let me go back. Sorry about that. Let me go back. Edit. That's totally my, I forgot that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use our Stripe integration. We have an integration with Stripe so that you can get paid instantly right into your bank account. I know we had a question about a workaround if I don't want to use Stripe. So if I go paid, this is not free. I'm going to go paid, okay? And I give it a price, let's say $50. This instantly will link into my Stripe account in our integration. It's a couple of clicks, and I'll hit update webinar. Now it's paid webinar. And I'll show you a workaround if you don't want to use Stripe. But we recommend Stripe just because it's the best in terms of quick turnaround, in terms of getting money into your bank account. It's easy to integrate with our system. It's just something that we prefer, and it's the provider that we use. But we do have a workaround if you'd like. I'll talk about that in a second. But let's just publish this webinar real quick. Now, when you publish a webinar, you have a couple of choices. You can make it public or private, okay? And if you make it public, you can then be listed on Google as well as on our Webinar Finder, which is our search engine, our public search engine, so you can go ahead and be found. Or you can make it private, up to you. I'm gonna make this private just because I don't wanna make this public, as this is just an example. So I'm gonna hit publish, and the reason why I'm publishing is because I wanna show you what it looks like on the user's end. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this, okay? And I'm gonna go new private window. And this is what it looks like, the registration page for the paid webinar that I created, right? And of course I can modify this page and everything, and I can modify all the assets. This is just another template that we have with all the bullet points, all that kind of stuff. So when they want to register, they just click this button, right? I can put my name, for example, Omar, and Omar at email.com. And I say I'm not a robot. Traffic lights. There's just this one. That's it. Okay. So Then the next step is proceed to payment. And you have a credit card form, secure credit card form right here, built in. They just put their information. They pay and register, and only paid members, only paid people that pay for the webinar have access. We have extra secret token link that goes into their email. Only them can click that link. When they click that link, it will identify them and make sure they go straight into the webinar. That link can't be shared, or it can't admit more than one person. So it makes sure that it's super, super secure. That's why we prefer to go through the paid registration. So if you don't want to use Stripe, for example, you can always you just create a free private webinar and give them the link only to paid members. If you say, for example, have a button on PayPal on your page, or you're using Eventbrite or something like that. Some people, they do that workaround if you like. And of course, our support team can walk you through those steps if you'd like. But we highly recommend using our paid integration with Stripe, because it's super, super simple. We do not take any percentage or anything like that. It's just a very competitive Stripe percentage that they take. I think it's 2.9 and 30 cents. Very, very easy to do. Very, very good price. So it's that simple. We just created all the aspects of Webinar Ninja's paid webinar system. There's so much more we can go into. We have a whole media library that you can go into, and you can upload all your images, all your check out all your templates. You can upload your videos all in one place, and we'll store it for you as a part of your membership. We also have tons of integrations. We have statistics. We even have something called the Webinar Ninja Academy, which gives you all the training you need to be awesome at webinars. It's like the Netflix for webinars. On-camera presence, public speaking skills, how to choose the right microphone, a whole course on how to create your first webinar, sales with webinars, marketing. We got a ton of great materials. So let me jump back into the studio. Let me go ahead and continue with my slides. So we know now how to put it all together, just like Legos, okay? Sounds like a lot, right? We have to have a lot of moving parts, especially when it comes to the automated webinar part. We want to make sure we do this properly. So I want to help you guys out if you want step-by-step guidance, okay? So what if I gave you step-by-step guidance so you can get started? And the accountability to push you, to give you the next steps, to tell you what to do next, second, third, fourth, until you launch your automated webinar for your system and get all the other pieces of the puzzles together. Right? What if I give you the tools and the templates and a clear plan? Would this make things easier if I gave you all these things? Let me know in the chat. I would like to hear from you. I love all this chat, people going back and forth. Cool. Fire True says, love it. Okay, so this is what I wanted to invite you to. So we have something called the Automated Webinar Challenge. Okay, this is a challenge to help you create your first automated webinar properly that converts. You're running ads straight to your automated webinar. You want to make sure that this thing is absolutely amazing, okay? That it converts at a high level so people go to your live demo and then buy your paid webinar, okay? This is where it all starts, is through your automated webinar. So we have 30 days with 30 video lessons. So we're going to give you access to this challenge, and every day I'm going to give you a piece of the puzzle, as well as an assignment, an actual homework assignment for each day, so you can build this system starting with your automated webinar, okay? So every day we're going to talk about how you can craft the perfect automated webinar to convert people into your funnel, okay? So you're going to get 30 days, 30 lessons every single day. It's a video lesson with an assignment, okay? You're also going to get 30 days access to our software, Webinar Ninja. So if you take the challenge, we will extend your 14-day trial to 30 days, so you have access to the software during the whole challenge, okay? Right, Omar's walking the walk, exactly. Perfect. So you will have no excuse. You have the tools that you need to be able to deliver on what we're teaching on the Automated Webinar Challenge, because we're going to be creating registration pages together, modifying it, sharing it with the group. We're going to be creating thank you pages, crafting our email notifications, all that stuff. I want you to be able to do it right inside of the software so that you're actually implementing. So by the end of the 30 days, your whole system is rocking and rolling, okay? The next thing that comes with the challenge is what's called SOP templates, which stands for Standard Operating Procedures. These are 30 SOPs for each day. They're documents of the step-by-step instructions of what I taught on that particular step of that day. Why do we provide this? Is because Eventually, after you finish the challenge, I want you to be able to even automate the creation of your automated webinar, hand it over to a virtual assistant, hand it over to a person on your team where they can go ahead and implement based on the SOP. So you can just follow the instructions, right? And this is just a little taste of how we run our business. We have an SOP for everything in our business because we believe that the value of your company, the value of your business is your systems. So if you have a system for everything, if you have a system to creating your automated webinar, then you can plug and play and get other people to help you out and get somebody else to do it other than yourself. You're also going to get 30 days of private coaching. You'll have access to our Facebook group that has both current users and current challenge takers that are taking the challenge, as well as people that have taken it in the past, alumni. And what's great about this is that we have people sharing along the way their registration page, their email notifications, their offer, the price for their webinar, the price for their product, all that kind of stuff, so they can get feedback from the group. I'm in there too, giving advice, helping people out, making sure that you have the encouragement and the accountability throughout the 30 days of the challenge, okay? You'll also get monthly live Q&A coaching calls. You'll be invited to our member calls where you get to ask questions, get training, and get any kind of clarity you need along the way. So it's not just the videos. You'll also have the live coaching once a month, okay? You'll also have access to our presentation slide templates. So you can just go ahead and use our templates for both our Keynote and PowerPoint slides for your automated webinar, so you can go ahead and run with them, all right? So this is what one of our students has said: simple steps. Omar breaks down things into easy to follow steps to help us grow our audience and increase sales. Love how short these short lessons are packed with information. Absolutely priceless in my opinion. Thank you, Eric Eugene Smith. Remember I told you I was going to give you an example of a customer success story. So here is Eric Eugene just talk about his experience at the Automated Webinar Challenge. Okay, 30 days with the videos. Okay. Let me go ahead and put up my offer here while you're reading that. All right. I'm going to make it live for you. All right, here we go. Here we go. And go ahead. You should see the offer on the below. So you can just easily just click that button. It goes to webinarninja.com/AWC. You're going to get 30 days, 30 videos, step-by-step instructions. You're going to get 30 days of coaching in the private Facebook group. You're also going to get 30 days of full access to the software. So you're going to get an extended trial of 30 days. So you have access to the software. You can use any plan you like when you sign up. And you'll have the first 30 days for free. You'll also get the SOP templates, the monthly live coaching calls, as well as professionally designed presentation slide templates. And you should see it below here, offers. Oh, I didn't turn it on. Sorry. Let me go ahead and shut it off. Turn it back on. Let me go ahead and save. Here we go. Sorry, guys. I had that off for a second. Here we go. There we go. So you should see the offer below. So you can go ahead and grab this offer. It makes it super, super simple for you to create your automated webinar. You wanted to make sure that it's approachable, affordable, but at the same time, you put a little skin in the game so you actually can implement this challenge. Max, you should be seeing it now. I can put it off and put it back on. You should see it. Okay. And of course, Nicole, you can pop the link webinarninja.com/AWC if you'd like right there. A little bit more about the challenge. So this is Kimberly. She is one of our challenge members. And she says, thank you so much, Omar. It's so great that you have taken the time to offer personal guidance. I'm getting so much value from this course and haven't even created the webinar yet. So she's one of our current students, Kimberly. She's a mindset coach. We also have Mike. Mike is a finance expert. He says, your training is superior with deep pointers and insights on how to create and continue engagement. I've used other webinar platforms where they sell it and forget it until it's renewal time, or worse, that system is gone. Your team and team support combined with this extra training is a winning combination. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. So I want to give you another one from Jackie. She's a real estate agent. She uses the automated webinar system to bring in leads for her real estate business. She says, your teaching is simple, small, and digestible bites of information anyone can implement. I'm following your format to create my own course content. So she's just using my example, which is totally fine with me. I'm happy to share. This is a little bit of a glimpse of inside our Facebook group, people sharing their registration pages, getting feedback, people launching their automated webinar, sharing their links with other people, getting feedback from other people, sharing wins, getting some advice about what do you think of my video on my thank you page. This is something that you could be a part of. That way you're not working alone. You're working in a group and getting feedback from other people. Sometimes you're just too close to your product and to your brand. You're not the best person to kind of put it out there. Okay, cool. Nice. I see all these great questions. So let's go to Q&A. Okay, so let's go ahead and see some questions here. So Jeff says, I'm researching different webinar platforms. Compare Webinar Ninja from Webinar Jam and Zoom. Great question. So Nicole, if you could pop in the chat also, we have a blog post that compares us to others. So I'm going to give you the short and sweet answer, but if you want the details, you should check out that blog post. So I want to first compare us to Zoom. So I want to say that Zoom is a great product for meetings, great meeting software, but it's not really built for webinars, okay? What I mean by that is webinars is an actual marketing system. It's a way for you to be able to attract, convert, and sell people to your products and services, and then later on serve them. So if you want to run a series webinar to do your coaching or to run a live webinar to do Q&A, this is really a good way to do it. Okay, so with Zoom, unfortunately, what you're going to have to do is add other pieces of software to make it work for you. So you're going to have to add landing pages, for example, to create beautiful landing pages for your registration page, for your thank you page. That's not their business. They just focus on the broadcast. They don't have any marketing elements. When it comes to email notifications and reminders and follow-up sequences, you're going to have to build that outside with another CRM or email marketing service. When it comes to other features like replays, like they don't have unlimited storage for replays, as well as they don't have the functionality for you to have a replay expire after a certain amount of time or only have access to people that paid. They don't have a paid webinar feature. It's just, you're going to have to figure out how to do that on your own. There's a whole bunch of things where it's just, they just focus on meetings and their broadcast system. You're going to have to hodgepodge a bunch of other pieces of software. Truth is I started Webinar Ninja because I hated the way GoTo and Zoom worked because it wasn't a holistic system. I wanted one place where I had all the pieces of the puzzle in one place where I can create all different types of webinars. So again, Zoom is just a live webinar. You can't run automated webinars, can't run series webinars, can't run hybrid webinars. Webinar Ninja is built to be an all-in-one solution. The other thing I want to mention is that the number one thing that people love about Webinar Ninja is that we don't leave them high and dry. We have great customer support, technical support that's there, has your back anytime to help you out. Even if you're running a test webinar, our support team will be there to help you and even be an attendee to say, hey, I'll be your attendee for your first webinar just to you can test drive it. So our support is one of the biggest benefits that we have. And Nicole put in the comments of this question the link to that blog post as well. So that is us compared to Zoom. Jam. So Webinar Jam, I don't know if you've heard, but Webinar Jam has been around for a while. Recently, I believe in the last 18 months, they changed hands. They sold to a different company. They don't have the best broadcast quality. They don't have the best. They have a bit of a delay. And they, again, have a separate product for automated webinars. They don't run series. They don't run hybrid. And yes, it could be a product that you use. We really focus on building trust, about teaching, learning, training. If this is the kind of system or product you want to be a part of, that's really what we're about. I would say Webinar Jam is more for internet marketers or just focus on sales and marketing. Not that we can't use that for Webinar Ninja, but we don't overtly push people into things in pressure marketing and things like that with maybe a little bit of different style. I would say that also our customer support is superior to Webinar Jam, as well as the fact that we are constantly improving the product. We have a new update coming out very soon, which will include over 40 new features. In just 2020 alone, we would release about 6 or 7 new features major features every month or so. So from what I understand, Webinar Jam hasn't changed in the last couple of years. So we are constantly improving and as well providing great support for our members. So that's really the big differences that you're going to get between us. Hope that answers your question, Jeff. Very passionate about this, so sorry I went a little bit over. So Drew says, step 1, 30 minutes, step 2, 60 minutes. Are we going through the same teaching framework in each webinar, but in progressive, deeper levels? You hit it, you nailed it, Drew. Correct. So it's very high level in the automated webinar. Kind of, you don't want to overwhelm them. You also just want to say, this is kind of the things you're going to have to do on the first 2 days of your snowboarding. We're going to do heel edge exercises and toe edge exercises. We're going to learn how to get off the lift. Okay, you have to learn how to do that. You can't be able to go snowboarding if you can't get off the lift. You're also going to learn how to choose the right board when you're renting, right? That's one of the things you're going to do when you first do that. What to wear. These are things that you're going to kind of give them high-level tips. The next live demo is actually talking about, okay, guys, you know, when we are going to do this paid webinar, this is the kind of the detail we're going to be talking about. These are the things they're going to do. You're going to give them a little deeper tips. And then the paid webinar is really the support, the step-by-step, the actually getting the result. Great way to break it down, Drew. Orly says, from Debbie, why not just use the automated webinar demo for this? How do you give actual value in the live demo? Okay, this is a good question. Debbie's asking, why not just skip the live demo, go automated straight and sell the paid webinar? That's a good question, because and the reason why we do this is because, one, you are not going to have enough time on the automated webinar to build trust to the point where you're going to be able to sell that product enough. Okay. A lot of people, they do not sell their paid webinar because they don't have enough chance to show them the value, right? Here's the golden rule of sales. We buy things if something has greater or equal value to the price. If it doesn't, we don't buy. Okay. So for example, if I walk to a convenience store and I'm hungry and I see a Snickers bar and it's $3 and I'm really hungry, okay, that's worth $3. But if it's $15, unless I'm starving, right, I'm not going to buy it, right? So unfortunately, we try to sell products without even giving us enough time to give value. So the demo is all about showing the value of the product, right? We're really focusing on building trust and giving them enough information to say, hey, these people know what they're talking about. This is really helpful to get to the live demo. That's for the purpose of the automated webinar, to really build that trust. And then in the live demo, this is my chance to show them, hey, this thing is not even close to expensive, because look at what you're going to get when you have this. A lot of people don't give yourself enough time to really express the value of your product. All the great things they're going to get, all the great results, all the headaches they're going to solve, all the time they're going to save. How much does this compare to a private coaching session on the slopes with a trainer? All that kind of stuff, it can really be explored, and you can take your time to really extract and display all the value of the product on the live demo. That's why I want to have a dedicated webinar for that. Great question, Debbie. Debbie said, okay, I see you out of that question. Cool. Nicole says, from Teresa, lots of people assume that webinars aren't converting as well. They're opting to just offering a video. Webinars haven't died. So is there something in the invitation to attend that will boost trust? I'm going to give you a very simple answer to this. A lot of people think webinars are maybe a monologue. Okay, even automated webinars need to be interactive, and that's what we teach in the AWC, how to keep it interactive. Imagine you went on a date, a first date with somebody, okay, or it was just a friend meetup or something like that, and for 3 hours straight, this person talked, or for 1 hour straight, they talked. They didn't ask you a single question. They didn't ask you how you're doing or ask your story or anything like that. Imagine that. That's why they don't convert, because it's a monologue. Right? And then they say, well, why don't I just do a video? The power of webinars, the reason why they do convert, is because of that interaction, because I can answer questions quickly, that I can go back and forth like I'm doing right now, answering your question. You saw during today's webinar, I'm constantly going back and forth, asking you questions, asking you, what do you think of this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I want to go back and forth to make sure that you're getting the most out of it. The more interaction you have, the more trust you build, the higher your conversions. The more interaction you have, the more trust you build, the higher conversions. And even with an automated webinar, you'll see in the AWC, in the automated webinar challenge, we talk about this all the time. We say you have to interact. Even if it's just you and the camera, you're going to say, hey, right now, I'm going to ask you a question. Which one of these 3 strategies are the ones you're weakest at? Write it down. You're going back and forth with them, even though you are not live, okay? Right now, I want you to write down in your notebook, what is your goal for your automated webinar, right? All that kind of stuff. You can go back and forth, keep it interactive, and get them to do things, right? So they at least they feel like you are recognizing them in the room, all right? And a lot of people don't do that with webinars, and that's why they don't. And those who do that, they convert like gangbusters, like some of our great power users. Love it. Great question, Teresa. Drew says, are the industry standards for VIP paid from number of registrations? For example, 2.4, 12 out of 500 original registrations. The number I gave you, that example I gave you was a very conservative number. I've converted to higher numbers. I know that some of our users, as well as some of the people that we know in the industry, like John Lee Dumas, who does this a lot, uses a lot of VIP sales off webinars, can convert much higher. This is the power of the live demo plus the paid webinar, is that you're able to really build that trust and show the value. If somebody's on your paid webinar and they just paid $100 for a session and they felt like, wow, that's great, it's interactive, I got all my questions answered, I feel like I got a result, they're going to want more. And when you offer them something more, they're highly likely to say yes, because they've gone through so many touch points and so many trust building activities with you. So the numbers I showed were a bit conservative. I would say that 2.4 is a good kind of starting point off your original 500, and I would work closer to 5%. That's really something that you would want to aim for. Drew says, I see that you have an article about integrating with ClickFunnels. What are your thoughts about integrating with ClickFunnels versus only using Webinar Ninja? We integrate with ClickFunnels, we do. And the reason why we do that is we allow you to embed your registration form inside ClickFunnels, because we know that some people sometimes have ClickFunnels already and they have so many pages and they have a whole ecosystem, and maybe they don't feel like switching out of ClickFunnels. So we just make it easy for you to integrate with them. But if you don't have ClickFunnels, you don't need ClickFunnels to run webinars, because we have built-in registration pages and thank you pages, and you could just use our pages, and you don't have to pay an extra fee for ClickFunnels. So if you don't have ClickFunnels already and you need pages for registration and conversions for webinars, we have them built in. You don't need it. Shri says, depending on the audience, say business people, entrepreneurs, would sharing a post about the webinar on LinkedIn be a good way to advertise? Definitely, Shri. It will not hurt, for sure. You could definitely sell them on the webinar on LinkedIn. This is what we're going to cover. This is what you're going to miss. And a lot of people, what they do is they don't offer a replay. And I have found that not offering a replay and advertising there will be no replay increases attendance, engagement, and it also increases sales. So it's something you may want to test based on your audience. I've run a lot of webinars where I've offered replays and not replays, depending on the price point, depending on my audience. We do that. So definitely something you want to experiment. Thanks, Sri. Great question. Drew says, can you give us a couple other Sensei level Webinar Ninja pages to follow and go research? Do you mean like blog posts, Drew? Sensei level, your customers. Yeah. Do you mean like examples from our customers? Yes. So we have a blog post called The Definitive Guide to Creating a Webinar. And we have a whole bunch of statistics in there, best time for a webinar that we gather. We obviously respect the privacy of our customers. So we use aggregates and we use the numbers, but we don't actually reveal who they are. But you should check out that post. Nicole, why don't you pop it in the chat? Or if you just, if I Google really quick, how to run a webinar, we are like one of the top posts. We're actually number 2. Okay, awesome. I'll just pop that in here. And this is like an epic guide, Drew, of information with all the statistics that work and don't work for our customers. Awesome stuff, guys. Any other questions you have before we wrap up? Thank you, Shri. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on the webinar. Let me know in the chat today if you got a win, if you received a win, if you felt like today was worth your time, that you felt like you got the value you're looking for. Let me know if you got a win today in the chat. I'd love to hear from you before you go say goodbye. Barry says, have you ever recorded a live 30-minute webinar, commented on the chat like today, and then used it as an automated evergreen webinar? Barry, I have created a live webinar and converted it into an automated webinar, but I have to tell you, Barry, that it doesn't convert as well as if I record a separate webinar and I'm talking directly to the camera as if I know it's automated. And this is what we teach in AWC. The conversion actually jumps over 25% in terms of call to action conversion. So I have found that it's so much better to just actually shoot a video specifically for the automated webinar and say, hey, thank you for joining my automated webinar. People are like, what? This guy actually said it's automated? Yeah. Yep, this is an automated webinar. But even though it's automated, it is going to be great. And we're going to be interacting with each other. And you're going to get a lot of value out of it. This is what we're going to talk about today. And it's just a lot better than me talking about something that maybe they're not a part of, or I'm chatting. Like right now, I'm chatting with you, Barry. And if I pop this video in an automated webinar, Barry's not there. They're like, what are you talking about? Who's Barry? Right? So it just, I find it's better than nothing. It will do because you have some content in there, but it converts much better when you create a specific video for your automated webinar. Love it. Debbie, thank you so much for being here. Shri, thank you so much. Teresa, no secrets. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Guys, I'm going to wrap up. But I hope to see you inside the challenge, AWC challenge. If not, I will see you at the members webinar if you join Webinar Ninja. Hopefully, everybody has a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. If you have not done this already, I encourage you to take an hour of your day, today, tomorrow, sometime before the holidays kick in, and do this exercise. I want you to write down, not a goal, not a plan. I want you to answer this question. What do you want in 2021? What do you want? Seriously, like what do you want in your business? Is it a number? Is it a financial goal? Is it freedom? Is it more time? What do you want? Find out. Ask yourself. Sometimes we just go, and we just don't ask ourselves, what do I actually want out of this whole thing I'm doing? Okay, what do I actually want? Write it down so you can know what you're shooting for come next year. I love it, guys. Thank you so much. I love all the great comments. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Barry, appreciate it. Have a good one, guys. I will see you guys on the next one. All of that you said, Lil. Take care, guys. I'll see you. Take care.